love helping entrepreneurs write, publish, and profit from their books. I'm really excited to let you know about a program that my partner, Janine Brisbois, and I are offering. We are inviting you to join a 30-day program that will get your book from idea to first draft. Today's the day. Now's the time. You are the person. Stop the avoidance. Teach your audience. Your book awaits. For more information about this special program, send me an email at ruthlsnyder@me.com. Welcome, everyone. This is Choices from Struggle to Strength. Today, I'm happy to have Kat Satava with me. Welcome, Kat.
Hi. Thank you, Ruth.
You're welcome. So, Kat, tell us what you are passionate about and why.
I am super passionate about quite a few things, but a majority of them are mental health as it relates to single parents. And single moms specifically, I think single dads get a high five and single moms get a, why'd you do that for? So, I'm very passionate about supporting single moms and making sure that they get to live their dreams as much as they try to make sure their kids get to. So that's my biggest passion right there, would be that.
Thanks for sharing. So, share a bit about your story and some of the difficult events that you have experienced.
So when I was 19, I became a single mom for the first time. Well, I wasn't single quite yet. Thought, that we were going to have a happy family and live happily ever after, like all the books and fairy tales promised. And then, it didn't work out. Like a year later, I was now becoming a single mom. And so I've been a single mom kind of off and on for about 20, 25 years. And so, gosh, it sounds really a lot longer when you say it like that. But I have always had to have like two jobs and be a mom and have this passion for writing and in my soul and telling stories. And so I've really had to put my dreams and things on the back burner for quite a while.
Hmm.
I went to school thinking that was going to help me get into a better job and better career, and it has to some extent. But constantly there's always money issues and things and financial struggles when you're a single parent, I feel. And so that has really been the kind of ongoing struggle
Hmm.
is trying to balance everything, so that you do have an opportunity to have your dreams happen too, so that you don't end up bitter and sharing with your children that, oh, dreams never come true. That sucks. Like you want to show them that they do and that they can be anything they want to be too. And so um, I think that being a single mom has been really a good thing as much as it's been a barrier, right? Because what we manage to get over helps us be stronger and helps us find ways to do things that maybe we wouldn't have found or been so driven to do if we didn't have those obstacles and those
Hmm.
barriers, so like the struggle is there, but the struggle makes you stronger.
Hmm.
So, I'm lucky. I've got three sons. My last one is 16. We're almost there. We're almost there. And so we we've just done our thing. We've kind of grown up together because, like I said, I was pretty young when I had my son, my oldest son. So, and now I'm a grandmother, so that's kind of a weird change of things, for me. So, I think that just that struggle has been like, okay, is it this year I get to try to write? Like, is it this year? Is it like these stories are in your head and they're trying to break loose? And, you know, I, I started a long time ago and, um, on my 36th birthday, which was the year I was like gonna publish for the first time. I really wanted to do it. And I fell and broke both my ankles.
Oh, oh.
And 6 different places.
Ooh.
I
When you do
spent
something, you do it well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And the kicker is the doctor was like, "Well, you weren't drinking because I see your blood alcohol level's fine," and I was like, "No." I had been carrying a box of alcohol, and I stepped off of a step on uneven flooring and flipped my shoe. Well, I tried to catch myself because I was not inebriated and ended up breaking in on the other side, doing the same thing. So, like, things like that would come up in our lives. And like when you have two partners, like when you and your partner or other parent is sharing in those responsibilities and those things, then you have time to heal a lot of the time. Where I didn't have anybody else there. Like I had my family, like they helped out a lot, which has been, I wish everybody had as supportive family as I do. I'm really appreciative of them. But it's different, like I was away from my kids while I was healing in a convalescent home. It was kind of scary and
Mm,
hard to do. And then when you realize, oh, all the medications that they're giving you so you're not screaming in pain make it very difficult to write and write coherently, right? So that ended up not being the year, and that manuscript went in a box somewhere, that hopefully will get reworked into something new that I'm working on. But just the continued having to put somebody else's needs before yours and then never getting it, not ever feeling like it gets to be your turn, is
mm.
probably the biggest struggle that I have had, and my barrier to living out my dreams of being a published author. And I think that we have a lot of that going on when you're a single parent trying
Mm.
to do this job, and do it well.
So, in the middle of those struggles, when did you realize that you needed to make a choice about how you're going to thrive through the challenges rather than just survive?
I turned 40 and I was like, it has to happen. You have to do this because otherwise you're lying. You're lying to your kids, you're lying to your family, and you're lying to clients and stuff like that. By this time, I've been working in mental health now for probably about 10 years at this point. But when I hit 40, I'd been working there for 5 years. And
Mhm.
like in mental health years, that's like, 30, it feels forever, because you're constantly trying to encourage people to like focus on their strengths and do what they've always dreamed of. And there's nothing standing in their way, no barrier too big, right? Well, you start to sound like an absolute hypocrite if you're not doing it for yourself, you know, and um people with mental health issues are going to be the first to tell you, hey, like,
Be
so this
real.
was your dream, you wanted to work with the mentally ill, right? You wanted to be case manager forever. Yeah, that sounds like somebody's dream. So they can call you on it, they know, and I was teaching a writing class, a writing group at the mental health clinic I was working at the time, and they were like, Kat, you write such great stories in here. Like, you help inspire us to write great stories. Where's your story? Where can we buy your book?
Mm.
And I'm like, uh, and so it was really when I turned 40, I finished the first draft of my book that's out now. And um, it took me 4 to 5 years of really buckling down and to create not only this first story that's the setup for my trilogy, but for all of the other stuff that you don't know goes along with being a self-published author,
Mm.
like an indie author's working her tail off, or his tail off, whatever. Um, but but that came with sacrifices and
Mhm.
saying, like, hey, this is a barrier you can overcome, but maybe that means we don't go on a family vacation this year, that kind of thing.
Mm.
Or we have a staycation,
Mhm.
so it was really working with my family and saying, you know what, I have to do this for my soul, and my family being like, okay, we got you.
So let's talk a little bit about the doors or opportunities that your struggle with being a single parent and caregiving and working with mentally ill people. What doors have opened for you because of all of that in your life?
You know, it made me very appreciative of what I have.
Hmm.
You know, there's plenty of people with fantastic, amazing stories out there that they never feel brave enough to tell. And I
Hmm.
think that working with the mentally ill clients and general mental health clients, just working in that field gave me so much insight into what's important in a story, and I think that it has really changed the way I write by helping others learn how to express their stories and how, like, that process of talking them through that and that book shepherding, if you will, has really helped me in when I'm writing as well. Because and in like things like who I choose for beta readers is really is based off of that. Because I found like I had at one point in time I had like 10 beta readers, right?
Hmm.
And one of them didn't has never worked in mental health, right? And the rest had. And so um like their feedback, the way they delivered feedback was very different.
Hmm.
Right. And so I was like, I found myself really defensive and on the fence over here with this person. And then I realized they were saying exactly the same things that these people over here were saying that I wasn't defensive about. I was like, oh, yeah, yeah. And I was like, wait a minute, they're saying the exact same thing. It's in the delivery. Right. Because a lot of people in behavioral health we come from a strength-based platform, right? Like
Hmm.
we get everything has mistakes. That's just how life is. So,
Hmm.
we're quick to point out where you did good,
Hmm.
right? As
Hmm.
whereas the beta reader who's not from this field was like, well, if you fix this, this, and this, and I'm like, oh, did you like anything about my book?
That's all
It was
I'm doing on my manuscript.
right, right. I'm like, this is just a developmental draft. Stop it, Um, but I think that had I not gone through those struggles, had I not walked other people through this process myself, then I would not have the insight into my own writing to
Mm.
create how and how I create my characters and what matters to them and really telling the story versus just having a plot.
Right.
I think that has really, really made the difference because f- when I look back at like what writings I did in college and stuff like that, my poems are all like that, but my stories lack it. That they're very central to the main character. None of the other characters matter, you know. And now I realize, like, wait a minute, if everybody isn't making, everybody has their own goal, so your
Hmm.
characters have to have the same deal, like
Hmm.
to be believable. Even though I write fantasy and I write supernatural stuff, I want my characters to be believable. I want their stories to ring true with people. And I find that had I not been a single parent, had I not been the person that had to be both the good mom and the bad mom and the mean mom, had I not had to wear all of those hats, I wouldn't know how to sit in those different positions,
Mm.
if you will, when writing. And I think that's really important is that when you have had to wear a multitude of hats and make everybody happy and nobody happy all at the same time, it gives you some definite insight into how to present that in
Mhm.
your stories and how to like get through rejections, how to get through like the meanest stuff that's ever been said to me has been by my children. So like if I can deal with what they've thrown my court, like there isn't a bad review that I can't take, like I know how to look the other way for those things. So I think that in the end, even though our struggles are struggles, they teach you something
Mhm.
that you would in no other way learn.
Mhm.
There's just you can't
Mhm.
learn it in a different way. So
Right.
I think that's what really put me over the edge is one, not wanting to be a hypocrite because I hate that. And two, just being like, I can't sit there and tell my children that they can be anything they want to be if I'm not being the thing that I want to be,
Mm-hmm.
at least in part, or at least trying,
Mm-hmm.
you have to at least try,
Right.
so all those mommy statements that come back to haunt you when your children are adults, it's amazing.
Mom, you said.
But you said, Mom, I could be whatever my little snowflake heart wanted to be. I'm like, oh, yeah, I did say that. I forgot. So why
So,
can't
what
you?
advice do you have for somebody that is going through what you were going through, wanting to write, but being stuck by
Time and
circumstances or
finances.
whatever?
Yeah. Don't give up. That your dreams and your things are just as important. Like you can write a novel in 9 minutes a day. It
Mm.
might take you a lot longer,
Mm-hmm.
but you can still do it. And so I think that once you decide to just do it, you got to just do it.
Mm.
And don't be afraid of what people are going to say, and putting yourself first a lot of times. Like single parents, we don't do it ever. Never, never do we put ourselves first ever,
Mm.
because we feel guilty about it. And I want single parents to know that no, you count too. You're
Mm.
part of that too. And if your kids see you happy and fulfilling your dreams, that makes it that much easier for them to believe in their own.
Mm-hmm.
So don't give up. Don't, write it on your cocktail napkins, tuck it in a drawer, like we all have that drawer, right? Where we have like this the, the epic story, on a napkin from the Starbucks that we just pull through, like coffee and insomnia will get you through it, but just taking the time every day, whatever time that is for you, and take some time for you, because self-care is important, and I feel like writing is part of self-care.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important to get your feelings out and your emotions out and live out those situations in a different way that would have worked better for you. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
like I do a lot of that in my writing. It's helped me so much to be a better communicator in general
Mm.
by pursuing my own dreams. So just don't give up. Write it down on a paper napkin, put it in a drawer, keep it in that special box, but it's so easy now to be able to get it out there, and so hard at the same time. If you're just trying to tell your story, man. Somebody will hear it and love it, and it will connect with them. And as you acquire more time,
Mm-hmm.
do more things
Mm-hmm.
that get you to there. Like I think Neil Gaiman said it best in an interview, that he said he always moved towards his mountain.
Mm.
Like no matter what job he took, or you know it was always towards his mountain. And so like I've tried to have to see like, where do I pull from for my dreams, from the mountains I've already climbed.
Mm.
Like I can see that one over there. I just gotta get over there. Let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is the biggest truth, is this: if this is something you desire and have to do in your heart, then you're going to find a way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And pull from your life, pull from that resiliency, because being a single parent is so difficult and it's so hard, but you got to do it, right? So your stories work the same way. they they're your babies just as much as your babies are your babies.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to look at them, some people are going to think they're ugly, some people are going to think it's the cutest baby you've ever seen, and it is what it is. And I feel like, pulling from my experience as being a single parent and working in the mental health field and going through my own struggles and barriers, has really helped me to give you a good story. Because I know if you're taking time out of your busy day, your busy time,
Mm-hmm.
to read my story,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you say about it. You took the time to read it. That
Yes.
right there, that's a star right there. That's the first star altogether, right? So
Yes.
I think that's the best, is really pulling from those resiliency roots and saying, okay, if you did that hard job, you can do this one.
Thanks for sharing with us and for
No
being
worries.
so open and honest and
Thank you.
real, because
Thank
sometimes
you.
we don't do that.
Right? And I think that's important. I think it's important to say, hey, this is hard. It is not easy. It does not come easily. It doesn't, you know, you're not going to have an instant million followers. That takes work. Like
Mm,
the people on, like, my friend Christy on TikTok, you on TikTok, or not on TikTok, I'm sorry, on Twitter's, um, is the work you guys put into it is way more than I can.
mm,
I'm like, pick your strengths and, build off of those. And eventually, you get to where you need to be.
mhm,
But I think that people underestimate how hard it is. And
mm.
they think that it's super easy just to sit there with a headset and talking to somebody. But talking to somebody you don't know about really something that means a lot to you is not an easy task all the time, and to also have a whole nother life that you have to kind of live at the same time. Like author life is over here, and sometimes it gets to blend with the other lives, but not always. And learning how to compartmentalize that and be okay with that and say, okay, this is what I can do in this area today. You know, I think,
So speaking of your author life,
yeah.
give us a brief synopsis of your book.
Well, my book, Nightmares and Stars, is the first in a trilogy at this point. We're not going to let it go any further than that. We've reined that world in. Um, it's the story of a bunch of witches that rule in this particular kingdoms. Um, we have our night witches that draw their power from the moon and the stars, and you have your day witches that run their kingdoms from sunlight and whatnot. And they've been at war for about 10 years when this story starts
Mm,
over this horrible massacre that happens, right? And our fearless leader, Laura, is next in line for heir of the Nocturne throne. And um, she is trying to win the war. She wants to be this badass warrior queen when it's her turn. And she feels right now like this captive bird and doesn't like it. And gets into a little bit of trouble and then has
just
gotta
a few
fix
little
it.
scrapes, right?
She's gotta fix it, which means she kind of has to leave the castle and leave the protection that has always been there. And she's striving out. Luckily, she's got a friend that's been there since she was born to kind of help her in the way. And their world is very classist and very they have a caste system, and um, trying to maneuver through those systems and still love the people that you choose to love, and um, break out of your box and discover who you want to be, I think is a good place to start. So that's where I did.
Right on.
Right. And so a lot of it was learning about different animals and shapeshifters and stuff like that. So I think it's a really good time. Um, there's a lot of action and adventure, and they kind of go on a quest to bring back some really important stuff to hopefully win their war. Um, and then the next one that will come out in that series is the same time frame, but now it's from the other side of that war. So
Ah, okay.
we're gonna see how, oh, the good guys just depends on which side you're on, and so um that was kind of the inspiration for this story. So I'm really excited to see how it goes. It's very descriptive. I really like it a lot. Like I'm the author, so I have to say that. But I do
Your
really actually
baby,
like
you
it.
better like it.
Right, right. Like, when you get that moment when you've read through something you've written and you're like, wait a minute, I wrote this. That's really good. Like I know when I was doing my copy editing, I came across a bunch of stuff where I was like, I don't even remember writing that, but damn, that's good. It was kind of a very interesting um experience. Like I cried like when I got my draft in my copy editing draft, in the mail, and I opened it up. I like took pictures and put it on my Instagram because I'm bawling like I just had a baby. Like seeing my name on my book as an actual book, I hope every author gets that feeling. I mean, it's amazing. It's an
It
amazing
is.
feeling.
And it never gets old. No
It
matter no
doesn't.
matter how many books you publish, it never gets old.
I hope so. I hope so. I want to have that feeling every single time something comes in the mail for me. It's amazing.
So, Kat, what's the best way for people to find out more about your books and about what you're doing?
Going to my website, www.catsatavaauthor.com. You can email me there. There's a contact page. I do have a newsletter, but I only send it out when there's something that needs to come out. And I kind of have some blogs pieces on my website. Um, you can also follow me on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and I'm kind of on TikTok, but not really. I repost a lot of stuff, so you're more than welcome to follow along and like the things that I like. But I haven't really delved into book talk yet, as much as I plan to in the coming years. So right now, the best way to contact me would be my website.
All right. Well, thank you very much for sharing with us. And I look
Thank
forward
you.
to continuing this conversation.
Yes, absolutely. Me too. It's so fun to talk about books and writing and the things that motivate us to write. I think are super fun conversations. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome.